welcome to the February 2nd, 2021 regular City Commission meeting of the City of Ormond Beach, Florida. We are in Commission chambers this evening, continuing to be socially distanced. I hope you felt welcomed as you came in this evening by our airport manager, Stephen Licklider, and our finance director, Kelly McGuire. They served as our greeters tonight. And I'd like to take this opportunity to introduce the folks who are sitting up in front of you. Our recording secretary, Cassidy Ritz, our city clerk, Colby Salento, our Zone 1 Commissioner, Dwight Selby, Zone 2 Commissioner, Troy Kent, our Deputy Mayor and Zone 3 Commissioner, Susan Persis,
Good evening, everyone.
and Commissioner Rob Littleton from Zone 4. Also down in front, our City Manager, Joyce Shanahan, Assistant City Manager, Claire Whitley, and up on the dais, to my far right, your far left, City Attorney Randy Hayes. If you would at this time, please rise for the invocation given by Pastor Jason Holt from Salty Church, and also please silence your cell phones. The invocation will be followed by the Pledge of Allegiance.
Father God, we first just thank you for another day of life. And God, just to have life here. Lord, we acknowledge those that are serving to protect our freedoms and to keep our community safe. You know, Father, in times that are just very interesting, God, we just acknowledge that you're in control, that you're good. And God, you love this community and you love the people that are here. And so, Father, we invite you into this place tonight, that you would guide those that are appointed in leadership over us, that you would be in their decisions and give them wisdom and guidance in what it is that we need as a community. You know, Father, we just thank you so much for the grace and love that's available in your Son, Jesus, in whose name I pray. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
this time, if the members from the Ormond Beach Lions Club would come forward. And President Eleanor Callon is going to accept this proclamation. You guys had your centennial just a couple years ago, 100-year celebration of all the good work you've done, and I appreciate your club just because you've been there. We get lots of requests for help, and particularly when it comes to eyesight, you guys have been amazing. So thank you for that, and it's an honor to present you with this proclamation. Whereas the Lions Club International, a service membership organization of 1.4 million members in 208 countries worldwide, was founded in the United States in June 1917. The Lions Club membership is open to all who wish to serve their community and encompasses 4 simple phases: learn, discover, act, and celebrate. Lions know that as they serve others, they themselves will grow. And whereas the Ormond Beach Lions Club was founded on November 8th, 1954, and is entering its 67th year serving the citizens of Ormond Beach and the surrounding area, the Ormond Lions conduct 4 to 6 fundraising events annually, including a golf tournament and several white cane solicitations. A member of the Ormond Lions assists in maintaining the Lions Club Park on North Beach Street. And whereas the Ormond Lions support local youth and sponsor the Seabreeze High School's Leo Club, offering students the opportunity to serve their community. They also honor a student athlete each month of the school year. Candidates are selected by the school principal and receive a special plaque commemorating the selection. The Ormond Lions participate in an annual food drive during spring break, aiding limited income families of students that attend Ormond Beach Middle School and Seabreeze High School. They also award a $1,000 scholarship to one or two Seabreeze High School graduating seniors each year. And whereas in 1925, Helen Keller famously challenged the Lions to become Knights of the Blind, the Ormond Lions support this mission through numerous services, including guide dog training, the Conklin Davis Center for the Visually Impaired, and the Florida Lions Foundation for the Blind, among many others. Other ways in which the Ormond Lions care for the visually impaired include the arrangement of eye surgeries for Ormond Beach and Holly Hill residents in financial need, and collecting reusable eyeglasses, which support the Lions Recycle for Sight program. The Ormond Lions also support the Lions Diabetes Awareness Foundation. Diabetes can put individuals at risk for blindness, so the Ormond Lions conduct diabetes screenings at select community events. And whereas the Ormond Beach Lions Club not only serves the Ormond Beach and Holly Hill communities, but sets an inspiring example for how individuals should live their lives by giving of their valuable time and effort to improve their communities in the world through their selfless acts and service, the Ormond Lions go above and beyond for their neighbors. Now, therefore, I, Bill Partington, Mayor of the City of Ormond Beach, on behalf of the entire Commission, do hereby proclaim February 2nd, 2021, as a time to celebrate the Ormond Beach Lions Club in the City of Ormond Beach and commend the Ormond Beach Lions Club on their valuable contributions to our community. Congratulations. We're going to get some pictures of you guys, and then I'll let Eleanor say just a couple words if you want, or you don't have to. Your choice. You want us to scoot in?
Thank you very much, Mayor. We appreciate this.
Absolutely, Eleanor. I appreciate what you do. Specifically, a couple years ago, there was somebody who needed some glasses, and you made sure that they got them, Ormond Beach resident. And I had gotten the 100-year centennial silver coin to present to your group from the United States Mint. So I just found that as we were doing some New Year's cleaning and knew that it was time to get this proclamation done. But I appreciate your club has a fantastic fellowship, and the members, you call each other Lion Eleanor or Lion Trish, and you do so much good work in the community that people aren't aware of. So well deserved.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. And next, we have a plaque presentation from CWC Ministries, Director Deborah Ham.
Greetings to everyone.
Greetings.
We, the members of, I forgot who I was representing. CWC Ministries. That part. CWC Ministries is presenting this plaque for 2020 for our great appreciation to the city of Ormond Beach, for your outstanding services, your dedication to and commitment to our community, supporting CWC Ministries. We do appreciate you, and we thank you.
Yay,
Thank you. You want us?
Yeah.
Great. Thank you, Deborah.
Thank you. Thank you.
We'll move to audience remarks and start with Jim Schultz.
Jim Schultz, 117 Harvard. Just want to thank the commission for having the opportunity for free speech. We're losing that maybe quickly throughout our society, it appears right now. It appears that the tech giants have taken the liberty of determining which speech is going to be heard and not heard. Again, not necessarily that, like Adam Schiff asked them to do it too, as far as medical issues and that. So the reality is we can only have a true consent to any medical procedure when you have full ability to get all of the information. And we're heading away from that. Right now, the World Health Organization several months ago actually got 10,000 volunteers to go on social media and find things that didn't comply with their belief system and see if they couldn't work with the tech giants to make sure that those didn't stay on the internet. There's always been debate, and it's all not always pretty and nice, but the reality is there is no such thing as a scientific eternal truth. If there's no debate, you never can perfect your science in that. And right now we have masks and lockdowns and, informed consent as far as remdesivir and hydroxychloroquine. Well, we were told that hydroxychloroquine was totally harmful and caused all these heart attacks that had only been used for 65 years without any evidence of that really to any degree in mass numbers. And it found out that a couple of those studies were actually fraudulent and had to be retracted immediately out of the Lancet and the New England Medical Journal because they were just total fake. But, then we have remdesivir. And what happened with that? Well, the World Health Organization did the biggest, best study and found that it didn't decrease deaths or severe outcomes. So, and pretty much the FDA showed the same thing. But they gave it approval anyways, saying, well, it might reduce the stay or a few days. Well, then you've got ivermectin, which actually has great use worldwide, but not in the U.S., but it's being used some places. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jim. Next is Carl Persis. Name sounds familiar.
Good evening. Good evening, Mayor Partington. Good evening, City Commissioners, City Manager Shanahan, and City Attorney Hayes. I stand before you this evening to thank you for your collective efforts to make the city of Ormond Beach the wonderful place that it is. As a school board member, I also want to thank you for your strong support of the Osceola Elementary School location for the new school site. This is a site that would serve students from Seabreeze Boulevard all the way to the Volusia-Flagler County line. It's a distance of about 11 miles. You have made your support known through letters, through meetings such as these, and most recently by asking your city manager to attend our last school board meeting on January 26, where she eloquently addressed this issue. Your generous offer to pay to relocate a water line and to enhance the site with repaved streets and sidewalks is noticed and appreciated. My preference was always to build a K-8 school at the Osceola site, including a K-5 gifted education program and preschool programs. And on May 26, the school board actually did approve on a 5-0 vote to build a K-8 school. However, a site was not decided. Then about 3 months later, August 25th, when the board was faced with the spread and the heightened anxiety about COVID-19 and the national controversy about if, when, and how schools should open, While all this was facing the board, we also received a gloom and doom forecast of sales tax revenue shortfalls. Well, that all led to the board voting 4-1 to abandon the K-8 $44 million school and approve a K-5 $27 million school at a smaller site 3 miles south of the Osceola location. Unexpectedly, 10 weeks later, on November 3rd, Anita Burnett was elected to represent District 2, and during the school board's first meeting in January, she questioned whether the location of the new school was final. As a result of her inquiry, the board decided to schedule a workshop for February the 9th at 10 a.m. to share with board member Burnett the history of its site selection process and where it stands now. Where it stands now is about $350,000 has been expended to build the school at the location to the south. And that's where the new school will be built, unless 3 or more board members at the workshop on February the 9th informed the superintendent that they want to temporarily cease the project and have it be reconsidered at the February 23rd school board meeting. Thank you again.
Thank you. And I always introduce county officials when they come in the chambers. Carl is so in touch with Ormond Beach. I feel like everyone already knows who he is, but former mayor, former county council person, and current school board member representing Ormond Beach. So thank you for your service and your hard work. That is an issue that's near and dear to our hearts, and we'll probably discuss it in our closing comments tonight. And I'll leave it at that for now. Approval of the minutes. The minutes from the City Commission meeting of January 19th, 2021 have been posted to the city's website, sent to the commission for review and approval. Any additions, deletions, or corrections? If not, just need a motion to approve.
I move approval of the minutes for January 19th, 2021.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign, and we'll show those passing unanimously. And the consent agenda action proposed is stated for each item on the consent agenda. Unless a commissioner removes an item from the consent agenda, no discussion on individual items will occur, and a single motion will approve all items. Does any commissioner wish to pull any item off of the consent agenda?
Yes, item A.
Need a motion to approve absent item A.
Motion to approve consent agenda minus item A.
Second.
Any discussion? Colby, please call the vote.
Commissioner Selby.
Yes.
Commissioner Kent.
Yes.
Commissioner Persis.
Yes.
Commissioner Littleton.
Yes.
Mayor Partington.
Yes, and that brings us to 7A.
Resolution number 2021-41, a resolution authorizing execution of a community development block grant subrecipient agreement for fiscal year 2020 to 2021 between the city and the county of Volusia and setting forth an effective date. This is resolution number 2021-41, read by title only.
I don't have any cards. Just need a motion and a second for discussion.
Move approval.
Second the motion.
All right, and Commissioner Kent.
Yes. I had some concerns about this, so I talked to City Manager Shanahan this afternoon. That CDBG, I've seen it as much as it is this year, which is $152,710, and I've seen it hover right around $100,000. The amount fluctuates. I'm a real big advocate for spending the money in the zone of the CDBG area, our Community Development Block Grant, where it is needed. We've sometimes swayed away from that because there's been a need that will certainly help those individuals and our greater community as well. My concern with this one was the Hope Place, $22,906 to pay the salary and benefits of a new position for an unaccompanied youth house manager up to the approved maximum of 15% of total annual allocation for public service activities. My concern was this is a recurring expense, and is this going to hamstring the CDBG funds every year because we're paying this salary. Ms. Shanahan assured me that was not the case, that this was a one-time payment. And I just wanted to have it on the public record, Ms. Shanahan, from you, that is indeed the case here.
Yes, that is correct. With CDBG funds, 85% of that has to go to capital improvements. 15% can go to public services. About 7 years ago, the HUD and the county CDBG program was changed, whereby you cannot pay a agency reoccurring costs. So this is a new program, so that was eligible for this expense. If they came back next year, they can't get funding for the same program for the same expense. So no, it is not a reoccurring expense. Or yes, it is not a reoccurring expense.
And that gives me way less heartburn than what I was having when I was going through this over the weekend and today. So I'll vote to approve this.
Any other?
I'll just say, since it's pulled, I was going to speak afterwards. However, I do want to thank the Neighborhood Improvement Advisory Board and Chairman Josh Pringle. They do a lot of good work on this board and keep a good eye on it and dish out money and actually pay attention to what the city's spending their money on very well. Thank you.
Amen. And I was just going to say we're almost to the 50,000 mark, where we'll have a little greater control over those federal dollars and where we can spend them. It may not be this census, but maybe 10 years from now we'll be there, or maybe not at the slow rate we continue to grow. But just something to keep an eye on. It's an extra layer of government bureaucracy we have to go through right now to allocate those dollars, hopefully into our CDBG areas or area. So with that, Colby, please call the vote.
Commissioner Kent?
Yes.
Commissioner Persis?
Yes.
Commissioner Littleton?
Yes.
Commissioner Selby?
Yes.
Mayor Partington?
Yes. And we will now start. Well, first let me check and make sure there are no commissioners who wanted to comment on any of the consent agenda items. Good deal. We'll move to public hearings. I'll open the public hearings and ask the clerk to read 8A by title only.
Ordinance number 2021-02, an ordinance amending paragraph C, official zoning map of section 2-01, established of Article 1, establishment of zoning districts and official zoning map of Chapter 2, district and general regulations of the City of Ormond Beach Land Development Code by amending the official zoning map to rezone certain parcels of real property totaling approximately 1,055.80 acres, known as the Plantation Oaks subdivision, generally located along the east side of Interstate 95, south of Halifax Plantation subdivision, west of Old Dixie Highway, and north of U.S. Highway 1. From Volusia County Plantation Oaks of Ormond Beach Plan Unit Development, RPUD, Volusia County RR, Rural Residential, Volusia County R3, Urban Single Family Residential, Volusia County R4, Urban Single Family Residential, and Volusia County R5, Urban Single Family Residential, to City of Ormond Beach PRD, Planned Residential Development. Authorizing revision of official zoning map, repealing all inconsistent ordinances or parts thereof, and setting forth an effective date. This is the second reading of ordinance number 2021-02, read by title only.
Thank you, Colby. I have a card from Parker Mitchenberg, who is the applicant. Anything? All right. And next is Tim Grigsby.
Hello, I'm Tim Grigsby, 1206 Overbrook Drive, Ormond Beach. I'd like to thank the Commission for allowing me to come here to speak. I'm speaking concerning the zoning change for Plantation Oaks development. I'm in favor of the zoning change that allows the property to have stick-built properties versus manufactured homes. I think it's a win-win for everyone, including the developer. Also like to point out or happily report that the County Council today, with no opposition, agreed to pursue all funding and opportunities to buy the 76 lots along Old Dixie from the developer. I think would be great for everyone involved. The city and the county residents have repeatedly supported environmental issues and preserving land for parks and for nature, and I thank Mr. Parker for offering that opportunity for us to do that. I think it'll be good for him because he won't have to clear this property. He can put those 76 lots on the golf course. It's not going to be used for a golf course. So, and I do thank the county for the work that they're doing to try to help preserve this. But I am unhappy that the city commission has done nothing in this area. When we adopted that development into the city, I believe that we have responsibility to care for it. We'll have long-term maintenance, policing, EMS, those things. So I would like to ask the city to try to do more, to at least send a letter in support to the county for efforts to preserve this land. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And I have no other cards. Is there a motion and a second?
Move for approval.
Second.
Any discussion? Please call the vote.
Commissioner Persis.
Yes.
Commissioner Littleton.
Yes.
Commissioner Selby.
Yes.
Commissioner Kent.
Yes.
Mayor Partington.
Yes. 8B.
Ordinance number 2021-03, an ordinance authorizing the execution and issuance of a development order for a 1,577 residential unit planned residential development known as Plantation Oaks, based upon annexation and incorporating the Volusia County development orders previously approved. Authorizing an amendment to allow Phase 1, 669 lots of the Plantation Oaks subdivision to delete the age restriction that limits residents to 55 years of age and over, and requiring that all homes constructed within Phase 1 shall only be site-built, single-family, standard dwellings on fee-simple lots, with no manufactured or mobile homes allowed, subject to Volusia County school concurrency, generally located along the east side of Interstate 95, south of Halifax Plantation subdivision, west of Old Dixie Highway, and north of U.S. Highway 1, and setting forth an effective date. This is the second reading of ordinance number 2021-03, read by title only.
Thank you, Colby. I don't have any cards. Just need a motion and a second.
I move approval of ordinance number 2021-03.
Second.
Any other discussion? Please call the vote.
Commissioner Littleton.
Yes.
Commissioner Selby.
Yes.
Commissioner Kent.
Yes.
Commissioner Persis.
Yes.
Mayor Partington.
Yes. 8C.
Ordinance number 2021-04, an ordinance amending Chapter 2, District and General Regulations of the City of Ormond Beach Land Development Code by updating Article 7, North U.S. Highway 1 Interlocal Planning and Municipal Service Area, Division 2, Itinerant Merchant Regulations for Recognized Special Events and Outdoor Entertainment Activity, Temporary Campsites, Section 2-84, Municipal Service Area and Joint Planning Area, Purpose, Section 2-85, Legislative Findings, Section 2-86, Definitions, Section 2-87, High Impact Uses on Land, Classification and Category of Use, Rationale, Section 2-88, Amortization Schedule for Vacant or Unimproved Land Category, and Section 2-90, Temporary Campsites, repealing all inconsistent ordinances or parts thereof, providing for severability, and setting forth an effective date. This is the second reading of ordinance number 2021-04, read by title only.
Thank you, Colby. I don't have any cards.
Move approval.
Second.
Any discussion? Please call the vote.
Commissioner Selby.
Yes.
Commissioner Kent.
Yes.
Commissioner Persis.
Yes.
Commissioner Littleton.
Yes.
Mayor Partington.
Yes. 8D.
Ordinance number 2021-05, an ordinance amending the future land use element of the comprehensive plan of the City of Ormond Beach by amending the future land use map to change the designation of a portion of one parcel of real property totaling .32 plus or minus acres located at 2341 West Granada Boulevard, Volusia County Property Appraisal Parcel Number 4127-00-00-0024. From Volusia County Rural R to Ormond Beach General Commercial GC, providing for conflict, authorizing transmittal, and setting forth an effective date. This is the second reading of ordinance number 2021-05, read by title only.
I don't have any cards.
So move.
Second.
Any discussion? Please call the vote.
Commissioner Kent.
Yes.
Commissioner Persis.
Yes.
Commissioner Littleton.
Yes.
Commissioner Selby.
Yes.
Mayor Partington.
Yes. 8E.
Ordinance number 2021-06, an ordinance adopting certain updated schedules to the capital improvements element of the City of Ormond Beach Comprehensive Plan, providing when such updates shall take effect, repealing all inconsistent ordinances or parts thereof, and setting forth an effective date. This is the second reading of ordinance number 2021-06, read by title only.
I have no cards.
Move for approval.
Second.
Any discussion? Please call the vote.
Commissioner Persis.
Yes.
Commissioner Littleton.
Yes.
Commissioner Selby.
Yes.
Commissioner Kent.
Yes.
Mayor Partington.
Yes. And we will close the public hearings, move to staff action items, and The only item we have tonight is 9A, letter to Volusia County regarding land preservation at Plantation Oaks. And I have no cards on that. Does anyone wish to discuss the letter, have any additions, deletions, or other thoughts?
I'll just say I'm fine with the wording of the letter. And Mr. Grisby did mention the council doing something, the county council doing something earlier in the day. Do we actually know what they specifically said? Did they just direct county staff to continue looking?
I don't know. I wasn't able to listen today.
Okay, all right. Just
We'll find out
curious.
tomorrow.
All right, thank you.
Commissioner Selby.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. I'm fine with the body of the letter. I would like to suggest that it be addressed to all 7 of the county council members. It's addressed really to, and the county manager. It's addressed to the county chairman and to the county manager, with carbon copy, CC, to the other 6 members of the council. And really, it's a policy decision that the entire council would make. I'd like to see it addressed to all 7 of the council members plus the county manager.
I think that's a good idea. Anybody?
What about the attorney?
Yeah, that'd be fine too. I don't have a problem with that. Yeah.
You can make those changes.
Yes.
Good
So-
deal. Anyone else? I think we just need a motion to approve that letter with the change that Commissioner Selby suggested. Changes.
Motion to approve with Commissioner Selby's insightful changes.
Second.
All right, and that includes the county attorney as well. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign, and we'll show that passing unanimously. And move now to reports, suggestions, and requests, starting with City Manager Joyce Shanahan.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and City Commission. We have our next meeting on February 16th at 7 p.m. Staff had proposed a workshop on February 23rd to talk about the Avalon Park issues. We're still working with HDR, so we'd like to push that back a couple of weeks. We have a meeting. We were scheduled to have a meeting tomorrow. We have to push that back till next week. So I'll know more next Tuesday, and then we'll come back to you with a firmer date on that meeting, if that's okay with everybody.
Is the 23rd's out then?
Yes, 23rd is out. For those of you that have been able to drive past the McDonald House, work has begun on that building, so that's good to see. They've done a good job of screening the roll-off dumpster that they have to take away. Staff did a great job coordinating with the tenants about the work and the parking issues over there, so I feel confident about that. Engineering is kicking off a couple of our annual maintenance projects, including mobilizing our cleaning and TVing of our sewer lines and pipes, and that helps us set the record for where we need to make improvements in the future. We're also kicking off a meeting this week for the relining of our sewer pipes. We do that annually, and then as well as our 2-inch water mains. Are they coming, Sean? 2-inch water mains?
2-inch water mains we're getting ready to. We met last week with Zepco and Associates to give us a proposal to do design for water main replacement on the mainland. We met with McKim & Creed this morning to give them a proposal to do it for beachside. We typically have broken into multiple projects just to kind of share the wealth with some of our local firms and also make it a more manageable project. So we're hoping to get those kicked off. You'll probably see those before you for approval at the second meeting in March, so that we can get bid specifications and plans ready for putting out for 1st of October and ready for the next fiscal year for construction. This is another project that we continue to do to stay ahead of what we need to do with our utilities and provide good service to our customers.
Thank you. Additionally, we're finishing up our year-end audit. You should have each been contacted by the auditing firm. They'd like to meet individually with the commission before that, and they will be presenting that at the next meeting in February. So if you haven't been contacted, you'll be contacted before the end of this week to make appointments to review the audit with them. I think everything looks good so far. Kelly was here. I've taken a look at the financials, and I think we're in good stead. So we'll see where we go from there. I also plan to attend the school board meeting workshop on the 9th to see what's going on there, to let them know at least I'm there, and if perhaps School Board Member Persis has any questions that that staff can address those while we're there. So, and lastly, I want to thank you for the opportunity to serve you. Today is the anniversary of my 12th year of employment for the city. I'm grateful to be serving you, so thank you very much.
Assistant City Manager Claire Whitley.
Just 12 more to go, right? I just wanted to take a moment and acknowledge this is a somber day for law enforcement. I know we all heard about the FBI agents, that were killed in the line of duty today, and the officer that is going to lie in honor in the rotunda from the events last month. So I just know it's a heavy day for them, and I want to express my support for them, and I know they appreciate all of the support that you all give to them on a daily basis. So thank you.
Thank you, Claire. And City Attorney Randy Hayes.
I wasn't going to say anything, but this is kind of like a birthday for Joyce. I can tell you as excited as she is to have 12 years in. I am delighted that she is with us. I mean, she is a gem, and we have somewhat of a symbiotic relationship between city manager and city attorney, and everything just works. Of course, we have great staff that does the most of the work, but I've had the good fortune of working with a lot of city managers. She's absolutely the best.
Thanks, Randy. Great. And tonight we start with Commissioner Persis.
Good evening, everyone. Joyce, 12 years, that is amazing. I am so proud of you. The thought out there, city managers don't usually last a whole long time, kind of like principals, But you're going to be with us for many, 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 many more years because we're not going to let you leave. So congratulations, and thank you for everything you do for everybody. You're truly an amazing individual, and I really do admire you. So again, congratulations. I just want to remind staff about something we all agreed, I guess it was about a year and a half ago, that we were going to, at city meetings, to not use plastic bottles or straws, because that was kind of my thing when I started. And I know the last couple of times when we had dinners and so forth, we had plastic bottles in the workroom there. So if we could just refrain from having those, I would really appreciate it, because we do need to set an example for our citizens. And we had all those great signs, and we had our little straws, and I've had a couple of comments, so I just would appreciate that. Thank you very much. Also, I am very excited that we're talking about the McDonald House is getting almost completed. They have started the drive-through in Zone 4, so the drive-through Starbucks, rather. I know you must be very excited, Commissioner Littleton, and I know I am because I drive by there. It's going to be great to have a nice drive-through Starbucks right there in Granada and Ormond Beach, so we're very, very excited about that. And I know, along with all the other commissioners and the mayor, we all attended the groundbreaking at Ormond Memorial Art and Gardens last Friday. And it was just a spectacular event, had great speakers, had great attendance, and everybody is just absolutely thrilled to see that building updated. It's going to be so central and so beautiful in that area on Granada and Halifax Drive. It's going to look fabulous. We have such a great committee of people that are working on this. They are giving basically their heart and soul to make this their wonderful project that they're going to be so proud of. And so for many, many future generations to enjoy that museum, it's just going to be fabulous. And I know I've heard some talk, and I happen to notice if you look at that intersection, there are some unsightly wires that hang down, and it kind of detracts, especially when that building is built. Those wires really kind of detract from the area. So hopefully maybe we can help them out and do something about that, so that corner will look really good. So thank you very much, everyone. Have a safe evening and stay warm.
Thank you, Commissioner Persis. Commissioner Littleton.
Thank you, Mayor. It is true that the Ormond Memorial Art Museum is going to be amazing when it's built. Anyone who's seen the renderings know that. It's really going to put Ormond Beach in a good spot. I attended the Historic Landmark Preservation Board, the last meeting they had, I believe, last week, and we got a McDonald House update, and Mr. Finley did an excellent job doing that. Staff really showed what will happen with the McDonald House and how we're taking it step by step, and it is the right approach, and I want to thank staff for that. Finally, I had a police ride-along last week. I was with Sergeant Larson in the detectives unit. Really a cool sight. I got to tour some things in the police station that I hadn't before, and I even got to see a blood spatter test done with one of our interns working in evidence, and it was really cool. I loved it, and I love what the police do every day. They really do keep this community safe, and thank you, Chief, for the organization you run out there. It's top-notch. And with that, I'll say good night.
Thank you, Commissioner Littleton. Commissioner Selby.
Thank you, Mayor. Commissioner Littleton, were you in handcuffs by any chance? I mean,
no comment.
Okay, all right. Well, first of all, Joyce, that's amazing. That's got to be pretty close to 12 years. Got to be pretty close to double the normal tenure of a city manager. I'm not sure, but
Tenuous tenure for sure.
it's tenuous at best. That's right. But we're lucky to have you, and glad that you like working here also. Next, I just wanted to comment about the Osceola School. A couple of things that I found really interesting. One is that there's approximately 200 students at Ortona, and there's approximately 400 students at Osceola. And the plan is that while the new school is under construction, the current plan, I guess, is while the new school is under construction, that the 200 Ortona kids will then come up to Osceola, and so the point is that the bridge there, I think, is a challenge. I mean, that's going to be that's a lot of kids to move, and of course we go the other way, it's even more going to Ortona. But still, I know they'll get through that. I did find one thing very interesting, though, is I think somebody from the school board did a public records request of everything that the city has communicated relative to the moving of that sewer line. I thought that was very promising. I mean, that they're delving into that and looking into that. So I hope this does come together. And, maybe I noticed that the city of Daytona Beach had the mayor, and they had a city commissioner, and they had maybe the city manager or assistant city manager. They had a little more. And Joyce, you did a great job of representing us solo, but maybe we could send some other folks with you, if some of us are available or. Oh, that's true too.
Because it's a workshop.
Yeah.
So,
Right. Yeah, good point.
School board member persons could probably let us know.
Right. Okay.
I was going to say, and let's call School Board Member Persis back up just for a couple of questions while we're talking about it, and the commission, I'll open it up to you for questions as well, because I want to tackle this with the best chance moving forward. I thought it was great that Joyce was there for us at the last meeting, and obviously the Daytona group got wind of the fact that we were looking at it, and so that's why they showed up in force, I think, to protect the decision that had already been made. But
Joyce spoke first, and then the others all followed.
Using primacy put us in a good position, the concepts of primacy. But what, School Board Member Persis, what is the best thing that we can do? I mean, when I look at this issue, every single factor seems to weigh in favor of the Osceola site, and yet this committee chose the smaller site, and it just boggles the mind when you look at it. But so that decision's been made. What can we best do to encourage them either to flip the script on that decision and choose Osceola, or keep Osceola as our only beachside school in Ormond Beach and let them keep Ortona as their beachside, their fourth or fifth school board location on the beachside in Daytona Beach? I mean, the primary goal, I think, is saving Osceola. To me, it doesn't have to include Ortona's students, but what's the best way moving forward? And I'll also point out that when Ormond Beach voters were encouraged to vote for the half-cent sales tax, the concept in their mind, what they were told by the school board was, this is going to be for improvements to your school. They had no idea that this meant their school was going to be taken away from them completely. And so just the whole premise is false from a sales tax perspective. They were promised one thing, and now they're getting something that's totally different. But with all that in mind, as far as what we can do to best support you, that's what I would like to hear from you, sir.
Well, one of the things, you asked me the things that I think may have persuaded the board to vote in the way that they did. BRPH, this is the architectural firm that the school board hired, which is the architectural firm that built the new Pearson Elementary School recently. Sarah Lee Morrissey at the time was the head of the facilities, and she thought that it would be a good idea to combine both the schools, since they were relatively small schools, 400 and 200, and only 3 miles apart. And since the half-cent sales tax, when it was presented to the voters, mentioned a figure of around $13 million to renovate Osceola, not renovate the whole school, but renovate a substantial portion of the school. And since there was around $4 million or so that was allocated to do some work at the Ortona site, you kind of looked at $13 million and $4 million, and then the notion became, well, why not spend $20 million or $22 and build a brand new school that would serve both of those school populations? So that's how it kind of got to the one school. It was never in the half-cent sales tax proposal that the voters saw. The other thing was that this BRPH firm, since they now were like the leading experts on this, they decided to put together a study to compare which school sites would be the best. And they offered it Ortona, building a new Ortona Osceola combination school while the Ortona kids were still present on the site, building a new Ortona Osceola school with the Ortona students not on the site, doing the same thing for Osceola, a new Osceola Ortona school with the Osceola kids at the Ortona site, or a new Osceola Ortona school with the Osceola school children present. So there were 4 different studies. And then the school board decided, well, we don't want to build a school with the children on the site. So take away those 2 and just get down to 2 remaining. And then they came up with a series of questions, and this is the controversial part. BRPH came up with a series of questions, and then they scored the questions and gave points to each of those items. And when it got down to the Osceola Ortona, I believe Osceola had 27 points, if you will, and Ortona had 29 points. As recently as today, I've had people question me, well, who decided what were the criteria used, and who decided how many points to give to each of those? And the answer was, well, BRPH decided the questions, and they decided the answers, if you will. So that was information that was presented to the board. As you know, with our half-cent sales tax program, we have a citizens oversight committee that makes sure, as we did in the previous half-cent sales tax, and 1991 with this project beginning in 2017. This Citizens Oversight Committee meets as needed, not more than monthly, but at least quarterly, to see how the half-cent sales tax money is being used. And is it being used in the way that the public expected it to be used? Is it being used wisely, efficiently, just to make sure that we're not wasting any of these half-cent sales tax dollars? That committee also saw the survey by BRPH, and they voted, there's 5 of them, they voted 5-0 to support the recommendation from BRPH. The other factor that may have influenced the board was that it was thought that building the school at the Osceola site would cost about $800,000 more than to build it at the Ortona site, and the reason being because if you build it at the Osceola site, there would be more portables needed to be located at the Ortona site, and to build that portable school, if you will, that was the lion's share of that extra $800,000. At the time, there was also the anticipated costs of whether the school board was going to have to pay to relocate the water line, the city of Ormond Beach's water line, or would the school district want to build a school in such a fashion that they would not have to move the water line. So that wasn't clear at the time. I think those, Mr. Mayor, are the key points that I recall. Again, it's important to note that this final decision, after almost a year of ups and downs and all arounds, was keenly affected by COVID. The communities of both schools, they were not involved much. We weren't having meetings in the public. Normally, when we try to close a school, and Commissioner Kent would know this, and Commissioner Persis would, you were there when they tried to close Oak Hill. We've closed Seville Elementary School. We tried to close Reed Patillo Elementary School, and the community came out in arms because we were going to combine Reed Patillo in New Smyrna Beach with Chisholm, and the community said, no, we want Reed Patillo to stay. However, in this case, with these 2 older schools, which have a lot of people who have attended both of these schools, built in the mid-50s, we hardly had anybody. I mean, it was like nobody cared. And I'm thinking, well, of course they care, but they're concerned about their children, they're concerned about their job, they're concerned about their health. I mean, this is August, and we haven't even decided when and how we're going to open schools. So I think the commission just said, this COVID, sales tax revenue's falling, we got to make a decision. We are being pressured by the district. Make a decision, make a decision, make a decision. And they just said, no, let's just build a K-5 and put it at the Ortona site. That's what the survey says. And, of course, I voted no, but, it was 4-1.
Any questions for School Board Member Persis?
Yeah, I have
Sure. Okay.
Oh,
Let me
doesn't
start
mean
with
to
the
jump
Deputy
in.
Mayor, and then we'll go to Commissioner from Zone 1.
Yeah, Carl, when you have the workshop next week, are you going to bring up all these things regarding COVID and pressure and people not attending the meetings because everybody had other things on their mind? Is that something that you're going to be talking about, and when you first bring everything up?
I was the one that put in that public records request for that. That was one of 24 requests that I put in to the school district, as well as public requests to the city of Daytona Beach. I'm sure there's a picture of me in the facilities room somewhere, and they're throwing darts at it, and I'm sure you can't even see my face by this time. And I'm not sure whether I'll be able to get into the workshop. But as far as Ms. Shanahan's question about the workshop and who can speak and who cannot, tomorrow, the superintendent called me today and said, can you please have a meeting with facilities on Wednesday to make sure we have all the answers to your questions and how we want to present this and how you see this going. So the superintendent's given me a lot of latitude to see that this workshop goes in a manner in which I would be satisfied. And again, we're doing this to bring Board Member Burnett up to speed, and so that she can see, okay, how the decision was made and why. But the key to me is to present some new information so that board members that may have voted one way and on August 25th may say, well, I didn't know that. Now that I look at it, yeah, this does make more sense you have 11 mile strength, and Osceola is more in the center of the zone than the other side, and some other factors, particularly the traffic and so forth. I also I reached out to Dwight Durant at Zev Cohen and asked him to analyze BRPH's soil analysis, which he has done, compared both schools. So I'll have that information for the board. I think there were some issues where they gave a lot of points and credit to the other site that really it could go either way. So that's what I'm hoping for. So my point is, after I meet Wednesday, tomorrow, then I can get back with you either Wednesday night or Thursday, and I'll let you know how that would go. Normally, when you have a workshop, just like when you all do, I guess you don't allow the public to engage. However, when you have an expert or someone that has information that is vital to the decision that the board may be making, then we usually, if a board member or a commission member wants someone to speak to address the board, like you're asking me now, then that's usually okay with everyone.
All right. Did that answer your question, Deputy Mayor?
Somewhat.
Okay.
I can talk to him later. But I do want to we need to thank Commissioner Kent for bringing this up several weeks ago, because he's the one that, I know that Carl and I talk about this all the time, but he brought it up to this commission. So I just want to thank him for doing that very much.
Yeah, we thought, Commissioner Kent and I talked about this, we all thought the door was slammed shut on August 25th. I mean, all intents and purposes, it was shut. And then, as a result of the election, that's when Commissioner Kent and I spoke, and we said, well, there may be an opportunity here. And then, sure enough, and I don't want to speak for you, but...
Commissioner Selby.
Oh, thank you, Mayor. The first question I was going to ask was the proximity of Osceola is closer to the middle of the area that's served. You said it's 11 miles.
11 miles, so the 5.5 mile point, and Osceola is about 4.1, 4.2 miles.
Right, so Ortona is only a couple of miles.
Just
from the southern.
1.1 mile.
Yeah, okay,
actually.
so that's I would think that's a huge, because that's part of the argument that they're making, is that it's a neighborhood school for the kids that live in that area, but that makes the kids who live in Ormond by the Sea or in the north end of Ormond Beach, it makes it, almost not a neighborhood school, making them go all the way to the Ortona site. And, anyway, let's see, there was another point I was going to make. Well, I just wonder if, I guess did we find out, this is for you, Joyce, is there a water line or a sewer line that does in fact need to be relocated? I remember reading something about that a while back.
I believe it's a stormwater conveyance system, and we have looked at that. I think it's between $300,000 and $350,000, but I got the general consensus that the commission supported moving that because it made the Osceola site more buildable.
Yeah. Yeah, and the only other comment I would make is that cost differential, the $800,000. I mean, there's twice as many kids at Osceola, so obviously they need twice as many portables as they would need if it was going the other way. It's really kind of unfair to the fact that the population is bigger. That's really not something that really. I mean, obviously it's real dollars, but to say that to pick the site based on that cost, which is really just a function of the size of the student populations, kind of. I mean, I get it, but I have some concerns about that. So, okay. Well, I wish you guys the best, and if I can help in any way, let me know. This is a big issue. I mean, for the neighborhood where the school is, for property values. This is going to be an amazing school. If you're going to build that Audubon type school, I mean that prototype school. I mentioned this at our last meeting. My granddaughter in Orlando goes to that Audubon school, and it is unbelievable. I mean, it is really cool. And to have that in Ormond Beach would be huge. It would really be, and so this is really something that we should do everything in our power to try to keep an elementary school in Ormond Beach at that site, especially in light of the fact that it's going to be such a fantastic facility. So,
and Commissioner Selby, they were talking about a K-8, which is more along the lines of the Audubon school that you're talking about. They've decided to do just a K-5, K-5. So not quite as expansive as what you're thinking, but
right.
I'm going to go to Commissioner Kent.
Can I just say that is that open for discussion again also though, whether or not to go to a K-8, or is that part of what you're considering also? Or
I can only fight so many battles here. But certainly you know what my preference is. It would be a K-8. Again, the rationale, we don't have a middle school on the entire beach side.
Right.
From Ponce Inlet to the Flagler County line. There's not a middle school. I mean, we have a couple of private ones, Lord's, St. Brendan's, but not a public one.
We're going to go to Commissioner Kent, and then Commissioner Selby, we've interrupted your comment, suggestion, request. So we'll come back to you to wrap up if you need to. But Commissioner Kent right now.
Yeah. I'm pleased to hear you say, Board Member Persis, that you can only fight so many battles at once. I don't know, because I'm not a mind reader, if that was one of the decisions that other board members why they might have leaned towards Ortona. I don't know, and I'm not even going to go there. But I am going to say that, thankfully, a couple of months ago, I was able to have some one-on-one discussions with new board member Anita Burnett. And I shared with her how important it was to Ormond Beach. I shared with her that a decision this big that's going to affect a community for 50-plus years, that she deserved a bite at this apple, that she should ask questions, her staff should give her answers, that you all should meet together as a group and have a workshop and talk about this. This is a healthy discussion that needed and needs to happen, and I'm so pleased because she told me, I will ask those questions at this next meeting. And she did. And I'm going to admit to everybody, I don't sit and listen to all school board meetings. I have a couple of jobs, and one of them is being a dad and a husband, and I actually spend time with my family. So I didn't sit and listen to what she was saying, but I'm pleased that she followed through with what she said she was going to do. And I couldn't ask for any more with that. But this is a hugely negative impact on Ormond Beach residents and Ormond Beach kids and Volusia County kids. Commissioner Selby mentioned it. You've got kids all the way up there at High Bridge, Kingston Shores. That's a long haul. And I did watch the video of Miss Shanahan knocking it out of the park at the school board meeting.
Yay.
And I did see Daytona Beach representing. And I don't blame Daytona Beach for representing, but they brought up this equity issue, okay? And that's where I want my board member to step up and talk about equity for Ormond Beach residents as well. Yeah. We also have equity issues here. People may not understand it or believe it, but they're real. We have them. And I was disappointed they tried to go down that path, but I have a lot of faith in you, Carl, and your ability to represent this area. I also think it is more than unfortunate that this happened during a global pandemic, because Ormond Beach residents would come out screaming against this. The timing was just, everything about it just didn't feel right. And then when you look at, all of the major components, it just, to me, doesn't make sense why Ortona was chosen. And because we're talking about this now, and I won't bring it up in my closing comments, into the public record, I'm going to read an email from a friend of Ormond Beach, Travis Sargent, that he sent me. It's a very short email. This was sent to the school board. Good evening, Chairman and board members. I understand the school board hired BRPH architects to compare the sites of both Ortona and Osceola elementary schools. Ortona scored a 28 and Osceola scored a 27. On what factors was this study based? Studies are only as good as what information is requested. Did the study include any of the following to be taken into consideration? Number 1, number of families having to change schools. Number 2, ability of future growth. Number 3, centralized location. Number 4, registered sex offenders near the schools. These factors are critical in making this decision. Osceola has 406 students versus Ortona that has 203. Osceola has 13 acres versus Ortona that has 11. Over 5 school years, Osceola's population has declined 6% versus Ortona that has declined 11%. In a 1-mile radius of each location, Osceola has 3 registered sex offenders versus 13 around Ortona. In closing, based on the information above, Osceola is clearly the right location for elementary students on Beachside. Less students and families would be displaced, there is more room for future growth, and it is a safer location to educate our children. Thank you for your public service. Please choose the Osceola location for the students and families of Beachside. Travis Sargent. I'm done reading what he wrote. And I thank you, Mr. Sargent. Yeah. I thank you for talking to me about this and us getting together and you coming up with some great points. And that sex offender point needs to be hammered home. It needs to be brought up. It needs to be discussed, along with a myriad of other issues. Listen, I'm going to fight for my Zone 2 residents and the residents of Ormond Beach every day I'm here. And if you don't think I will, you don't know Troy Kent. This is a bad decision for us. This is not good for Ormond Beach. This will negatively affect us for 50 years. And the mayor mentioned it earlier. Let's take a look at what Daytona has on the beach side for schools and in their area compared to what Ormond Beach has. We don't have a high school we can call our own. So, let me see if there's anything else I'm missing. I don't think so. That's it on that issue, and the rest of mine are from my commissioner comments. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. And I'm just looking at the school board's half-cent sales tax site. Under Planning and Business Services, it says the half-cent sales tax was approved on August 26, 2014 by Volusia County voters, went into effect January 1st, 2017. The extension will run for the next 15 years focused on capital improvements. Those improvements include security enhancements, technology upgrades, replacement schools, and significant school renovations. Every school and every student will benefit. That's what it says. Every school will benefit. Well, does shutting down the only school in the beachside community, what benefit is that to Osceola Elementary School? Extinguishing it from the face of the earth? How does that benefit Osceola Elementary School? So, I think it was a lie to the people who voted for that half-cent sales tax, who thought they were going to get some upgrades to their school. They loved their school. They thought, this will be great. We'll finally get some improvements, maybe a new roof, some facade improvements, whatever it was. But no, somebody who worked for staff, Sarah Lee Morrissey, and an architect, a contractor for the school board, made the decision to combine schools and snuff one out. And then I guess the school board at some point signed off on that. I don't even know if that's the case. So it sounds like not even an elected official made that decision after proper public input and proper public hearing. And it boggles the mind. And we can all talk till we're blue in the face about it. If our residents don't come out and show their discontent with this decision, you're going to have a couple condo towers there on that property. That would be the highest and best use. The school board can sell it, and they can put 7-story condo towers on what was, they'll call it the Osceola Towers or whatever, put 3 or 4 of them up there on the 10 acres. That's the kind of thing that happens if you're asleep at the switch and you let these things progress. And so, Commissioner Selby, you said you were encouraged by the public records request. I'm not encouraged. I've been talking to school board members and trying to push this issue, trying to get some kind of rational explanation for what's going on. And my impression is they've made up their minds and they're moving forward. The analysis that I got was this decision has been made. One member was on the losing end of that vote, which is Member Persis. He can't bring it up again. Ms. Burnett is new, so she can't bring it up again, which I don't know what their local rules are, but that makes no sense to me. She's a newly elected member. I would think she would be able to bring it up again. But obviously at the school board staff level, they're telling school board members the decision's been made, the boat has sailed, the train has left the station, this decision cannot be turned over. And so that's disturbing, and we need answers, and we need a strategy going into next week that will be effective at least giving us a fair shot for our issues to be heard. And that's what we're fighting for. Commissioner Kent.
Yeah, and Mary, you bring up a good point. You know, with Ormond Beach residents, if they really knew about this, and I don't know that anything, we have even time for this to be our local newspaper, the Ormond Observer, for it to even be out there for them. This might be one of the times that we actually use the service, and I apologize if I'm using it wrong, code red, reverse 911. This might be a time that we actually send a phone call out, not just to those residents, but to all of Ormond Beach, and we state some real facts, as unpleasant as they may be. One of which I just heard from the mayor, whenever you quote what the half-cent sales tax said for all schools, and we get that information out there and we let them know when this workshop's going to be so that their voices truly can be heard, because they weren't heard during that pandemic.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
That's fine with me. I think it would take a motion to waive the Thompson rule, and Joyce and her staff are going to have to scramble along with Randy to make something like that happen. But with the pandemic, I don't think people are keyed into this issue or have heard about this issue, because it's largely been crickets. There's been a few parents, but people just don't know. And with a lot of the newspaper services going to subscription services, people don't get the news like they used to. So I'm game for that. If somebody wants to make that motion.
I make a motion that we do whatever we need to do to save our Ormond Beach school, whatever that entails.
And Randy, I'll call on you just because if it's going to cost money, I think we have to waive the Thompson rule for this.
Yeah, well, it kind of helped if I actually knew what it was we were going to do. You know, you can talk about it, and then we can figure out how to navigate through it, I guess.
All right. And we're all here. If we need a special meeting, we can call an emergency meeting. I mean, I think we're all here.
If I may, Mr. Mayor, part of what you gave me direction before was about the stormwater, moving that, providing pavement and improvements along that, the sidewalks adjacent to the school and building new sidewalks. We didn't address the portables, but I think those things probably total close to $1 million, 500,000? 500,000?
I think it's probably around 600, something like that, for the portables.
For the portables. So you're looking at $1.1 million, maybe $1.2 million, maybe $1.5 million. But when you look at that over a 50-year time period, it's pennies. If you're looking at the life of a school and a community, it's pennies. Code Red, we have the ability to do that at any time. It would be helpful if we use the mayor's voice rather than our regular voices to record that message.
Absolutely.
But we can get that out there, and we have the ability to do that.
Okay.
And it doesn't really cost us anything more than what we currently pay.
All right.
But so we're looking at about somewhere between $1 million and $1.5 million of commitments towards the Osceola School. But, they might come up with something else.
Mayor.
Understood. Commissioner King.
And Ms. Shanahan, and turn Jen Elston loose on social media.
Absolutely.
Please.
The other thing, School Board Member Persis, I listened again to the August 25th meeting, before this meeting, of August 25th of the school board, specifically I listened to the discussion on the financing of the 80 million versus 75 million versus 60 million. I thought your point was very well taken about you can bond money for next to nothing in the current environment. And the sales tax receipts have not been as bad as were initially predicted. So honestly, there would be enough money to do both schools and pay for those over time by bonding them out of the sales tax revenue. And so that may be another saving grace or option. But I'd ask you to readdress that if you can get updated numbers that show, because I think the numbers do show they're not as, still we need to be conservative and fiscally responsible, but the numbers aren't as bad as were initially forecast.
That is correct. That is correct. Yes, sir.
All right. Mayor.
Commissioner Sullivan.
I just wanted to get a clarification from the city manager. Did you referenced the portables and the cost of the portables? Is that something that we've agreed to the city of Ormond Beach?
I need direction from you on
Yeah. Okay. So I mean that I talked about it earlier. That seems like something that might be a deal point. It might be if we picked up the incremental cost of portables to move our 400 students to their 200 student campus. If we picked up that, then everything else ought to be equal, especially for all these other things that we're throwing in there. And in looking at the budget amendments that we did last time, we're in a really strong reserves position right now. We could pay for that out of reserves. And even that revenue stabilization fund that we created in anticipation, we barely dinged that. I mean, it was only a couple of $100,000, and we were expecting to use over $1 million, in the most recent fiscal year. So I think there's plenty of money to do that, and I think that would be really a great investment. And I think it helps you to make the argument that there really is no differential in the cost, which again I think is a shallow reason to defeat it anyway. But if we agree to pick that up, I think that might give some of those other board members an opportunity to say, well, let's I'm gonna go with Ormond. I like closer to the middle. I like there's no incremental cost. That we also have the leisure services facilities there, the playground equipment and all that. Isn't that an ongoing agreement with Ormond Beach?
Yes.
But I think some of those would change based on a new school.
No, but what I'm saying is we have a long-standing relationship where we've provided that in the past, and we would like to, I would think we would want to continue to do that in the future. Absolutely. There's a great cooperation here between City of Ormond and the school board. So,
Also, you have Vodner Park that was just
Yeah.
started and completed
gonna be a
nearby.
classroom.
That's basically an
Outdoor
outdoor classroom that could be an extension of the school. So Joyce, even if that pushes us up to 1.5 or 1.8 million, I think the commission still supports that, because like you said, over 50 years, it's pennies, and schools are a critical component to to a city's well-being financially, economic development-wise, and otherwise. So, Commission, am I right if we were pushing 1.8 or 2 million that
Yeah.
you're okay with?
Yeah.
I
And
see
can
thumbs
can
up.
I say one thing?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, I just want to say if any of you up here have not driven by in front of Ortona School, the parking in the drive, there's nowhere. If they build a new school, you come off of Halifax, you turn left on Flagstone, then you turn left on Grandview, I believe it is. There's no room for people to pick up. It would be a nightmare. There's no way you can make it easy to even get there. So I was just there today, and I was thinking I just got really mad. So I thought, this is ridiculous to put a school here. I just had to say that.
Thank you. And I don't know if anybody saw the piece on News 13. Our PIO, Jen Elston, helped set that up, but she referred them to Mike Pavelka, who I believe has 2 children at the school, and also may have graduated from there, and has family that taught there, and other family that went there. But he was a traffic officer there for years with the Ormond Beach Police Department, so he knows the traffic patterns versus Osceola, and he said it makes so much more sense to use the Osceola site for that. I mean, that's the kind of powerful testimony I think the school board needs to hear that they didn't have the benefit of with the pandemic. So that's where we're at. Anyone else? Commissioner Kent.
I would just add that I put Mike Pavelka and Jen Elston in contact with each other, and my mother and my 5 siblings and I went to Osceola. Mike Pavelka's mother, Mike went. Mike's 2 boys go there currently right now, and he did a great job and had great pictures in front of that school to show a story, because there is a story that goes along with this, and it negatively impacts Ormond Beach kids at the end of the day.
I think one of the things, and you all have been commissioners now for a while, and when you've made a decision and it was a controversial one, let's say, and then it's coming back to you, it's tough for you to change your mind. You've gone through it. You've dealt with it. You made your final vote. You think it's over. So it really takes a person who is willing to open their mind once again and just say, okay, show me some new information. If there's new information, I certainly want to make my decision based on the current and best, most accurate information. If I had incomplete information, that's why I based my decision. But now that I see what I see and hear what I hear, I have reconsidered, and now I'm thinking this would be the best move. This is the point we need to get to with the school board, because I believe, and I know you believe, it's a sign of intelligence to change your mind when you're faced with new information. I mean, that's what you should do. That's evolving. So, and I'm not criticizing my board members. I am hopeful that when they see some of the new information, that maybe just one, will say, I see this differently now than I did then. That's what we need. You know how it works. We need 3 votes.
Thank you. And sorry to put you on the spot, school board member person.
Mr. Mayor?
Thank you for being here.
If I could share some thoughts with you, because I've not been in the bubble. I'm kind of been on the outside of the bubble, but it might be helpful to show the commitment, excuse me, of the commission to the school board to adopt a resolution affirming its commitment in the sense of perhaps providing some monetary support, which is a huge sweetener, if that's what your thinking is. And then you could also identify some of the other features that you discussed this evening, in a positive way, of course, in terms of the benefits of having the site stay at Osceola for the reasons that were described in the citizens' letter. we can put a positive spin on it. But certainly, if this commission is serious about spending significant sums of money, or contributing significant sums of money, that's additional information that the school board didn't previously have. And I'm sure in these times, any interlocal support from any public agency is going to be a welcome sight. So those are all positives. Now, under your code of ordinances, in order to expend those funds, you need to adopt it by resolution. Long ways to go before you get there. But if you want to make your point, if you want to crystallize your point in a format that I think everybody could understand, we can, city manager and I, we can work on a resolution. Don't know how we're going to do that yet, but we'll shake something up and get it before you. I don't know how soon we would need to get it over to the school board.
Well, their meeting is Tuesday, so we would have to have a commission meet before that to adopt that.
So the school board meeting, as I understand it, is a workshop, so no decisions will be made there, obviously, because it is a workshop.
But we'd want to get it to them in advance of that so they had it as part of their discussion.
It would be helpful to do that for sure. Maybe we could do a letter and then a follow-up for the purposes of the workshop, and then follow that up with a resolution. I'm just thinking of other ways, or we could call a special meeting, and for the sole purpose of considering, this matter. We want to keep it positive, of course, because we want to be a good working partner with the school board. And we have a lot of good points. You've discussed a lot of good points that maybe they weren't fully discussed or appreciated previously for whatever reasons. But, if you're going to pony up some money, I think that's going to be a significant contribution they may be willing to consider. I would like to think anyway, so.
Understood.
Just a thought.
With something this important, I think we should have a special meeting. It's just a matter of what gives you enough time and when everybody might be available. Thursday night, Friday night.
We work at your pleasure, so
Thursday night.
we'll make it happen.
Friday too.
Friday night.
Well, I think, quite honestly, we probably need at least through the weekend to get that. So if we could have it Monday, we can deliberate Monday.
Yeah,
and
and I think your code requires, when at all possible, for special meetings, a minimum of 72 hours. And I know the News Journal has its own publication requirements, which are a little longer than that. But we can work with them and try to get something. I think if we're going to do it Monday night, then that certainly gives us ample opportunity to pull everything together. So
That's fine with me if we can each put that on our calendars tentatively for Monday night, and then
Is there anything in here?
we'll let you know tomorrow, I guess,
Shouldn't be Monday.
about
time and
well, we can coordinate that through the city manager. So
Maybe 5:30? Does that work for everybody?
It's fine.
5:30.
we'll whatever y'all want to do, we'll make happen.
Great.
So.
All right. Well, we'll send out some information to you and start working on it.
Great. Thank you, Randy. And yes, ma'am.
If I may, in the meantime, I think that we should move ahead with the code red messaging so that we get time to get that out in advance of the meeting.
That's fine with me. I would like the rest of the commission to have the chance to at least look at that
Yeah, we'll
and
make
make any suggestions, as long as there's no sunshine issues with that, and then we can record it as quickly as possible.
You have to send your suggestions individually back to me.
Without responding to each other. Okay. All right.
Done.
Thank you. Commissioner Selby, now we're back to you, sir.
Sure, thank you.
Thank you for your patience.
Probably would be helpful if somebody started a petition on change.org in support of keeping, no, I'm serious about that. I mean, I think that'd be helpful.
Well, I saw a petition. I
Yeah.
don't
That'd be
know
good
who started it.
be good to get it in your code red also.
I was
Go
going
to-
to say, in the code red, you could say, come, have someone outside City Hall come sign it, come sign it, or we'll bring it, someone will bring it to you, do something like that.
Well, I think you can do it online.
Oh, you can do, that's true.
Yeah.
I was thinking old-fashioned, sorry.
It's okay. It's okay. Sorry. Okay, just a couple of other quick things. I think The first is regarding Riverbend Golf Course, that is. I'm very anxious to see, staff was going to bring us the capital dollars necessary that the course required to get it into shape, and then also what the monthly carry was, or, monthly maintenance of it, so that we can, finally decide what the future holds.
The most important thing for us is to get information back from the ADO in Orlando about whether or not that they will allow that lease to be renegotiated for a new lessee for the same purpose. Our initial understanding from them is that they are strongly discouraging that, so we're waiting to get a formal letter from them. So we've gotten some estimates of costs to maintain the course in a minimal fashion. We are currently watering the grass, so there's this is kind of a slow-growing season. They've overseeded with rye, so we do have a little bit of wiggle room there. So staff and I have been working on that plan, so we hope to come back to you at your next meeting with some guidelines that we get from the FAA. And then we'll provide that other information to you.
Okay. Honestly, I obviously want to know what the FAA says, because at the end of the day, we have to have their consent in order to continue to operate it as a golf course. But my suspicions are that the huge amount of capital dollars required and the carrying costs to maintain it until we find somebody who would want to operate it, and then try to negotiate a contract that's acceptable to them to operate it, is going to be such a big financial burden that once we know those numbers, we're not going to want to try to make a golf course out of it, okay, whether the FAA would allow it or not, which they seem reluctant to want to allow to do anyway. So that's kind of where I'm at. So I'm much more focused in on, well, what are the dollars we're talking about, because that helps me to make the decision. And then along those lines, I had a conversation today with a local citizen and just who had given it a great deal of thought about the economic development opportunities of the site. And if you think about it, it really is some incredible land that could be developed into, a fabulous expansion of the existing Ormond Airport Business Park, or its own separate, job creation opportunity there. So there's really aviation related, obviously. So there's really some great opportunities that could provide some wonderful jobs and high-paying skills also, or high-paying opportunities for residents. And then finally, I just wanted to give you a quick update. Through the graciousness of Deputy Mayor Persis, I am now a board member of Main Street, and attended my first virtual board meeting with them. Actually, I served on that board many years ago. Somebody asked me when that was, and I don't even remember how long ago that was, but and it was great. There's a great group of very committed people that serve on the Main Street board. And the one comment that I wanted to make relative to downtown is, I don't know if anybody, I'm sure you all have noticed that the scaffolding is down in front of 23 West Granada, where the coffee shop and the frame store are, Mr. Jones's building. And oh my gosh, if you haven't taken a look at the craftsmanship, I mean, it's no wonder that it took so long. The tile that's on the front of that building and the copper across the parapet wall, and I mean, it's unbelievable. I can't even imagine how much money they spent but that's what the Joneses do. Every building that they touch, they just go overboard, really, to our benefit. And they have created such a fabulous downtown. Every time I see Bill, I thank him for his commitment to downtown, because he has really created a sense of place that people just want to be there. And unless you actually, you can drive through there and you sense it, but when you actually really look at the architecture on each of the facilities, buildings that he's been involved with, it's incredibly impressive. So. And with that, I'll say good night. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Kent.
Joyce, 12 years. Wow. Wyatt was 2 years old.
I know, he's
You know, you've known him since he was just a little tyke, and you know, I listened to Carl Persis earlier say that, you know, changing your mind is a sign of intelligence, and you are the best, one of the best decisions I ever made, and I'm appreciative of you every day. Thank you. Number 2, it's Groundhog Day, and today's February 2nd, 2021, and at approximately 7:15 a.m., the seer of seers, the prognosticator of prognosticator, Punxsutawney Phil emerged from Gobbler's Knob in Punxsutawney, Pennsylvania, and he did indeed see his shadow. We have 6 more weeks of winter on our way. It is the weather capital of the world, and if you listen to anybody up in Punxsutawney, he's got a perfect record. He's never been wrong, ever. Number 3, Ms. Shanahan, if you'll get with me at some point in the near future, give me an update on the dog park at the YMCA. Ms. Shanahan, will you get with me in the near future on a beachside emergency room update? And for number 5, I'm in total agreement with a Persis, and now I'm going to be in total disagreement with a Persis. The water bottle's here because I asked for it. I cannot be a hypocrite. I won't be. Those cardboard containers, I personally cannot stand the taste of the water. I don't like it. I'm not going to drink out of it. So I tried to do it quietly. I wasn't going to bring anything up, but I told Ms. Shanahan, please don't give me one of those ever again. At my house, I drink filtered water 90% plus of the time. But you might see me out and about in my car drinking a bottle of plastic water. And I'm not going to be a hypocrite about that. I'm drawing the line. I went along to get along, and I've seen where it's gotten me. And I care about our environment. I care about our future. I went along with a straw ordinance, but I just have to say, you know, it was it almost felt like a game. 3 doors over, we have a workshop, we're fed, we drink bottled water, we come over here to cardboard bottles. I get it, but I'm done playing games. Troy Kent is focused on this job, and I'm not going to let this take me off. So, Ms. Shanahan, please keep giving me these bottles of water at our meetings. Thank you.
All right.
That's all.
Thank you, Commissioner. And the Ormond Beach Historical Society had their annual meeting last week, and I had the honor of swearing them in. They put together a year in review 2020 magazine. It's also available online. You can just click on a link and get it. But it's amazing all the things that they have going on and how professionally they've presented it. I was blown away when I looked through this, and just so excited for our city to have a historical society that's doing so much and so focused on some great programming and community, and working hard to constantly get the message out about Ormond Beach's fantastic history. So if you get a chance to take a look at that, you can go to their website and click on the link to see it, or I'm sure if you stop by during their hours, they'll be happy to give you one of these, or you can have this one for that matter. But it's an amazing little publication, and I was impressed. And of course, it's got the McDonald House on the front of it, which is beautiful. So, Joyce, 12 years. You've had 12 exemplary reviews from 12 commissions, and I hope you have 12 more. And you do an amazing job. You help people that sometimes I wonder, I look at and say, does that person even deserve help? But you bend over backwards to try and work with everybody and satisfy everybody. And it's an extremely difficult position. I wonder sometimes why somebody would want to be a city manager.
Told you, Larry.
And yet you want to do it, and you want to help people, and you try so hard that it's impressive to watch, and I'm just glad to be a part of it. So thank you for everything you do, and like I said, I hope it's another another 12 years if that's what you want. And we'll close on that note. Good night, everybody. Thank you. We're adjourned.